it's Ashley from Sweet Dreams Bake Shop, and welcome back to my channel where I make a lot of cake and cookie decorating tutorials as well as give a lot of baking business tips. And I am filming in this way because I am in a rush. This vlog or whatever this is going to be no joke. It is right now almost 10 o'clock. I have until 11:30. I must leave the house by 11:30 so that I can make it to my husband's work to deliver these cupcakes. I was very ill prepared. It's summer. I've been doing so many different things. So I could have done this in advance, but I didn't. So I'm going to whip this up as fast as I can. I also just got back from the gym, which is why I'm dressed like this. While you watch me do the most panicky parts of this entire process, I'm going to talk a little bit about the Bake Fest. So what exactly is the Bake Fest? Now this differs a little bit from things like SoFlo, which is an in-person cake decorating event where you can go ahead and see a bunch of different teachers and take different classes. But you have to pay individually for each of those different classes. So if you're like me and you have a really busy, hectic schedule, you might not have time to go and travel to a specific place. So this is a virtual baking event. And the Bake Fest is 2 days full of hands-on baking classes hosted by top bakers across the world. And the best part is you get to hold on to the recordings for a year afterward. So even if you don't participate in the actual live itself, you can watch them on your own time for one singular price, as opposed to having to pay for multiple classes. Now, I suggest that you do join me on my live, because if you want to interact with me and be able to ask me questions on the spot, you guys know me, I am going to give my very honest opinion and anecdotal evidence of everything that I'm going to be presenting to you. So definitely use my promo code if you want to get the early bird special. So basically regular tickets are $150 for the whole weekend, but if you apply this code right here at the bottom of my screen, you're going to get 15% off the regular price. If you've been a watcher of my channel for a while, you know that I don't promote a lot of things like this. I am very choosy when it comes to speaking engagements. I really do see the value in attending an event like this. You can access some really juicy information that is not available on YouTube or other free streaming services. It's also really great because you get to speak directly with these top bakers from all over the world. More information down in the pinned comment below. Now let's get back to this baking vlog. So I was really trying to whip this up as quickly as possible. We don't really care how messy things are right now. We're just going fast. I absolutely hate working in a messy kitchen environment, but this really gave me a lot of flashbacks to when I used to work at a bakery and things would just be everywhere because we were trying to get those orders done. It's 10:10, guys. We're looking okay. I really want to get these into the oven. Of course, I don't have 3 cupcake trays. I only have 2, like a peasant. So I just need to get these in. I'm going to start on the fillings afterwards. I know, right? I'm being very ambitious. I want to get the caramel done, the soft caramel that's just so good. It's a crowd pleaser. I need to be a crowd pleaser. I'm sure a lot of us cake and cookie decorators get this feeling where getting through the baking part is the part that you just kind of have to do. It's not really the part that you super enjoy. And I actually do really like baking, but because I've made this particular recipe so many times, it's just one of those things I really like to tick off my list as soon as possible. Okay, it's chaotic. It's not pretty, but they're going in the oven. About 17 minutes in the oven, and it is 10:15. And apparently I only made 2 dozen, so they're getting 2 dozen. I always miscalculate this recipe even though I've made it over and over again, but I use it both for cakes and cupcakes, and I forget that I use cupcake liners that are slightly larger than your average cupcake. There was absolutely no time to waste. I had to get going on the fillings and the frosting right away. So of course I'm making my Italian meringue buttercream. It's just my go-to. Even though I went through that little period of time where I was trying out a bunch of different buttercreams, and I did find ones that I really liked, for some reason I just keep reverting back to Italian meringue buttercream. I just like that it has a really good hold to it. It's not too overly sweet, and it's nice and buttery and sumptuous. I've made this caramel sauce a few times, and every time it's turned out so beautiful and velvety and delicious, but something weird happened with this, and I'm pretty sad about it. But I mean, the moment's passed, and honestly, I was still able to utilize the caramel. It just didn't turn out as well as it normally does. But to be fair, I really shouldn't have chosen caramel as a filling to make when I'm in a rush. I really should have gone for a compote because it's much easier and it doesn't have to be babied as much. Now, if your caramel ever looks like this, do not panic where it's like this giant mess. It just means that the ingredients that you put in, so the cream and all that stuff, was just not at room temperature yet. It's totally fine. Especially with the recipe I'm using, it's going to come together. You just have to keep stirring. I tend to switch back and forth between making caramel on my electric stove and my gas stove. I find if I want to get something done quicker, I do it on my gas stove, but I do find my electric stove just leaves a little bit more room for error to occur, and it will be okay. We're babying this caramel because if we don't baby it, what's going to end up happening? Well, first of all, my gas stove, she's spicy. She's a fiery one, so it's going to just get really, really burnt on some places if I don't baby this. Also, my spoon has been burnt by this stove multiple times. So really just babying this caramel, but already I can see that it's coming together a lot more smoothly and no fear of that weird kind of candy block that you get. Luckily, my husband just texted me and he said that I need to come slightly later to his workplace. So we have gained the gift of time. It is always beautiful when you gain the gift of time. Caramel is very interesting because it has a very high butter content in comparison to other caramel sauces that I've made. And so it kind of comes away from the sides of the pan. But it is so velvety delicious. Cupcakes are cooling. I'm on a good path. Yes, that was Kendall Rae you heard in the background. I'm telling you guys, I am into listening to crime documentaries or people that cover different crimes. It is just my thing. But for some reason, I can only listen to it in the daytime when I'm baking. If I'm baking at night, it needs to be something funny or super lighthearted. The caramel was still on the stove for just a little bit longer, and these cupcakes were officially cooled. My timing today was really, really good in terms of having things ready and cooled down at the appropriate time. The ganache was made last because with a 2-to-1 ratio, I find that it does cool down fairly quickly, and I needed it to be pipeable still because I was going to use the ganache to fill all of the cupcakes. Now, remember what I said in the beginning, I was only doing 2 different types of fillings, but as we know, when I'm given the gift of time, suddenly, all of a sudden, I become super, super ambitious. So although I did just stick to the 2 fillings that I had originally planned, I decided to go the distance with toppings and making things a little bit different. For the salted caramel cupcakes, I decided to go with just a simple round tip and some vanilla Italian meringue buttercream on top. I was going to drizzle a little bit more caramel on here, but I feel like I really, really filled these with caramel, like a lot, so I decided to go easy on that, and I adorn it with some gold sprinkles later on in the video. Now, this is a little hack or trick that I do. Because I make Italian meringue buttercream, I save some of the meringue before mixing in the butter so that I can have a completely different topping. So this was actually my chocolate s'more version, and this is purely meringue on top, no butter whatsoever. So this will be a good choice for people that don't like buttercream. This pink buttercream would have been even more fun if it had some sort of strawberry flavoring in it, but it was just vanilla. I was just being fancy with the colors. Really, in essence, that cupcake is just going to be a vanilla frosted cupcake with a chocolate ganache filling. Now, every choice I'm making isn't really a well planned out choice. It really is about convenience. So I used that same round tip that I used earlier for the salted caramel ones on these pink ones just to give it a little bit of flair. The other day, I had previously made some espresso buttercream, so this was the perfect opportunity to use that. I unfortunately didn't film myself putting that onto the double boiler and then whipping it back up, but that is what I did so that I could get that ready in a hurry. I didn't have to wait for it to come to room temperature or anything. Now is the fun part. I get to toast up the meringue, and this toasts up so beautifully. A little bit of a tip though, if you are going to use a torch on your cupcakes like this, aim the torch upward. So don't torch it from a downward position. You want to kind of start at the bottom of the cupcake and then put the torch up so that you don't light the paper on fire. Another tip, when you're putting cherries on, especially maraschino cherries that are in this sugary sweet syrup, make sure that you put it on a paper towel first just to get rid of that excess kind of syrup, because if you don't, then it starts to bleed into everything and your white is going to bleed red really, really quickly. I chose to drizzle this with the chocolate ganache, but that's only because it's what I had on hand. You could also do this with candy melts or melted chocolate as well. Personally, I prefer chocolate ganache because it has a much more pleasant taste. Now, I end up adding on a bunch of different decor to these espresso buttercream cupcakes. I think it's because I just made espresso bean cupcakes not too long ago and I didn't want to do the exact same thing. That is the beauty of not working somewhere where it's always a standard. You can kind of just make it up as you go along to keep things fresh. Okay, I'm just about to take my beauty shot, but I have to make my husband lunch, which I have to deliver. Here's a beauty shot of the cupcakes. I actually end up adding on a little straw to the white and pink cupcakes with the drizzle on it just to make it look more different than the other ones. After that, I ran upstairs and I got changed really quickly. I tried to kind of redo my hair-ish, brush it out a little bit. I gotta tell you, ever since I've started going to the gym about 6 or 7 days a week, I have to wash my hair so much more frequently than I used to. Normally I actually would leave it for almost a week and my hair was totally fine, but now I can't seem to do that. But I didn't have too much time to worry about my hair because I was rushing around the kitchen trying to put together a bagel with cream cheese and smoked salmon. I promised that I would pack my husband a lunch, so that's what I was trying to do, and I also added some cucumber and some nuts as well. Hey, we did it. I made lunch. Now it's time to go. Usually I add my pricing in on tutorial style videos, but I'm just gonna tell you I would charge $5 per cupcake, and that would be for a stock order, no minimum. If this were a custom order, it would obviously be more and there would be a minimum implemented. My husband's workplace really enjoyed them and I got my oil changed, so it was just a great day all around. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you can be part of the Speedy fam. Right now, I'm uploading weekly, so make sure you hit that notification bell so you know when I upload. Also, be sure to comment, request, or ask a question. I love hearing from you guys. Bye, guys.